So there we are. We are now officially live, and we are coming out. I'm in Boston. Where are you located?
I am located in a town called Pedernales, 3 hours from Buenos Aires, Argentina.
Awesome. 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 And Diego, you're working on a company now. Can you tell me more about it and what the origin story is?
Yeah, sure. Well, I am one of the founders of Flugel. We are two founders actually, and our company it's an agency focused on DevOps, cloud technology, and especially the last year and a half in security and compliance, with focus on the startups, scale-ups that are in the B2B space, and our focus is in general companies that are in regulated industries, or maybe they are selling to big companies and they have strong requirements in terms of especially compliance, which is
Yeah.
a challenge in
Cool.
the space.
And yeah, and I wanted to chat with you to get a sense for really what it's been like, if if it's been significantly different being in Buenos Aires starting a company, what the culture is like in terms of startups. I'm curious to hear from your perspective, having been from the area, how have you seen the ecosystem change over the last few years in Buenos Aires, maybe Argentina at large?
Well, that's a very good question. Yeah, definitely it changed a lot the last years. Right now we have a lot of unicorns, for example, which is huge. We this year we had like, I think 3 or 4 announcements of new unicorns. So the entrepreneur ecosystem and the tech ecosystem has been growing a lot in the last 10 years. And in our country we have very good professionals.
Mm,
So I wouldn't say that easy to find talent, because finding talent globally is really hard. But we have very good talent here. You can find a lot of people. We have a lot of the demand in the market, but we have a lot of people, a lot of good people, uh, for different reasons. I am not as, let's say, sociologist to explain the reasons. Maybe it's related with our universities. The public universities are very good, and
I'm curious. Do you know why? Did you go to the public university there in Argentina?
not me, not my
Yeah.
case, but they usually have better reputation than private ones. Yeah.
And where did you go? Why did you not go to the public university?
No, the main reason to me it was the commute time to the public university where I was living at that time was really difficult to me. It required like 1 hour and a half to go to the university, and was too much. And yeah,
Mm,
I had a private university like 30 minutes from home, and I mean, it
mm,
worked. Yeah,
mm. Yeah.
it was good. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think the public? I'm curious if the public universities are people acknowledge that they're good. People like going to them because now the only thing I think about is we have a world where if you're going to work on the internet, are you still going to go to public university? Does that still make sense to go for, I assume, 4 years? That's what it is in the US, and learn usually a bunch of different skill sets, and then some skill sets in technology versus I think, I almost think, what would I do today if I'm 18 years old? Would I go to the university, or would I just try to learn on my own, build projects on the internet, learn on the fly? I'm curious what your thoughts are on this.
Well, yeah. My personal experience, I always prefer to learn by myself. I love to do research and read and learn at my own pace. So yeah, my answer to that is not going to be fair, let's say, because yeah, I really recommend. I mean, I recommend to go to the university. It's good, but I'd say it's not mandatory. And definitely in
Mm,
the last 2 years, uh, uh, I'd say it's been demonstrated that yeah, it's not mandatory if you want to have a very good career in tech. yeah, it's not required. You can do that by yourself, and you can learn a lot of theory because, for example, in my case, I I built my learning path by reading the stuff from MIT, which is online, from Berkeley, for universities from Europe. So I checked, okay, what are people learning and reading in those universities? What kind of courses
Mm.
they have, and I built my own learning path in parallel to the university because I want to be sure. I was not sure at that time. Okay, is this all the right stuff to learn? So I follow my own path also
Yeah.
in parallel.
Well, it's your own path, but it's also the path of what was outlined in some other reputable universities. It's like
Yeah.
it's amazing to me that it's hard for me to know the impact that this has because it probably has an impact outside the United States more so than
Mhm.
in the US. But the fact
Yeah.
that this program that you're referring to, which is called Open Courseware, Harvard, MIT, Yale, Princeton, many colleges put not only their curriculum, but they put all the course material, the quizzes, the video
Yeah.
lectures in their room. And you watch some of this stuff, you just go to the website and it's free. And it's like, wow, how do you compete with this? Why would you
Mhm.
pay tens of thousands of dollars a year to go to a university where you're learning the same material, but you're inside of a different building? And I think it's so fundamental, right? Where we learn what we do is the most critical step because ultimately, we're talking about knowledge work. We're talking about the ability to
Mhm.
understand complex technologies, use those in professional formats inside of companies. But it really comes down to how do you get enough skill sets, enough knowledge to then enter the workforce to accelerate? Because once you're working, then you kind of now you're learning on the fly, you're learning on the go, but
Mhm.
you kind of
Yeah.
have you develop a base before that.
Yeah. That's right. Maybe the only thing that you can get now it's the diploma, but you have everything
Mm,
else.
yeah.
Everything else is ready. The only thing missing is the diploma to put in your wall to tell your mom, yeah, I have my diploma. But yeah, everything else is ready, and you can even work with or talk with other people even around the world that maybe is studying the same topic. You
Mm,
can brainstorm with people around the world, so it's not like you're learning in a silo in the middle of nowhere, and you're not going to talk to people. It's a new challenge for education in general.
totally.
Education is running behind uh, a few things that are
Yeah.
happening in
Yeah.
technology.
Maybe that makes sense. Maybe that's the way it should go. I'm
Mm.
curious now. You have how many people inside of the company working with you?
Well, we are 45 right now,
Mm-hmm.
and we are onboarding 6 or 7 more in the next weeks. So yeah,
Mm,
we
awesome.
we've been growing a lot. Yeah.
And are most of the people that are working for you now, are they graduates of the university program, or are they have they learned on their own for the most part? I'm curious what people's backgrounds are, and are they all in Argentina or elsewhere too?
Well, yeah, we have some graduates. Yeah,
Mm,
I do not have a number because actually when in our job posting we are not highlighting that much. That's
mm-hmm,
probably my influence maybe, or the also influence of my associate who follow the same path. But it's not a strict requirement for us. We are not
mm-hmm,
even mentioning or. But yeah, we have some graduates. Maybe at least 40% of our teammates in the company they're graduates. Yeah, we have people around the world. We have people in Argentina. We have about 15 in Argentina, and then we have more people in Latin America, in Asia, and Europe. The majority of the people is in Latin America because we work mostly with US startups,
mm.
but we have people around the world. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, truly remote company. You started it in 2014, is that right?
Yes. The company officially was incorporated in 2015, but
Mm,
we started as freelancers. Yeah, even before 2014, we started like 2012 to do some freelance doing some work on the side. Then we quit to our jobs. We work as freelance full time for some period, and then we got our first contract, and we created the LLC over the night to sign that contract.
Awesome. And how did it work? Did you have say a company that wanted to hire you? Because I imagine you're a smart guy. You could be hired at a company. Did you have to say, no, look, I don't want to be full-time employee of your company. I want you to hire my organization to build out products for you, speaking to the other company. Like how did you make that decision early on to not join another company, but instead hire your own people and contract out work? I'm curious how that kind of grew.
Yes, I'd say that we've never had like a plan for maybe for the situation we are now. We never had a plan. It was something like natural. Yeah, we started working with freelance with a couple of companies, and that worked. Then we said, okay, let's see if we can hire another freelancer, but instead of being like a partner, this is going to be like an employee. Let's try to do that. Let's see how it works, delegating some stuff to a freelancer who's actually he's still working with us. That
Nice.
after 7 years, he's still working with us. That a small experiment worked, and we thought, yeah, let's try with another one, and then another one. Then okay, we at the beginning we was doing some stuff using Upwork mainly. We expanded our network and our first client there. And yeah, we got a referral to start working with a big company. We had a small team of freelancer. We incorporated the LLC, and we started officially. Yeah.
And how many companies can you work for at a time? Because I imagine part of your job is to assign people on your team to different companies. The projects are sometimes difficult to predict how long they go. Is that a difficult part of your job, is to manage people's time? And is there problems that you face? I guess people not being assigned to current jobs, or how do you manage the 40 people working on different projects and just assigning people to roles that are good for them with different companies?
Yes. Well, in general, all the people that work in our company, they have a similar profile, because our team is composed mainly by DevOps and cloud engineers, usually mid-level or senior. We also have our security and compliance team that's, let's say, another story, but yeah, it's not a problem of profiles. Right now, we are having leads all the time. We are getting a lot of traction, and the main problem we have is the bottleneck of hiring people. That's the main problem for us. We right now, in the past, we used to take small projects or maybe engagements of part-time engineers, but because the demand we have right now, we prefer to take full-time maybe projects, or usually ongoing engagements that require full-time engineers, to avoid that problem of managing and sharing resources that in the past it was a little mess, and it's still a little mess sometimes, because we still have some part-time projects, but in the future, from now on with full-time, we expect that to be easy. But the trick is the way we are managing our pipeline to be up to date, or to have enough resources for new projects. Yeah.
And so it's all around DevOps, right? You're really it seems like one of the parts about the business that's made it successful is you say, hey, we are really, really good at DevOps. We focus on hiring people for DevOps. We focus on placing people in DevOps. How do you find, I mean, not how do you find them? What do you look for, like, after having done this for so long? What's the first few things you look for when you meet someone to determine if they're good at DevOps? And also, just for people listening, paint me a picture of what are the bounds around DevOps? Like what is DevOps exactly nowadays?
Well, DevOps for us in our daily job is right now is our role is mostly around automation and integration. That's we have cloud technologies, you have applications, you have monitoring, uh, you need to take care of availability, but all the things that we do are basically that is to integrate different things using automation. That we can say that our core business is automating stuff. That also includes talking a lot with people because the DevOps, as the history says, is not. It should not be like a silo. The idea of DevOps is breaking the silos, start working in uh, collaboratively with the developers, QI, and with the whole companies, different teams. Uh, but at the end of the day, what we do is that we integrate technologies. We also integrate people and teams, and we work a lot around automation. So what we usually look in the people that we hire is because we are always integrated things that are very different all the time. We always evaluate the potential of the people and the learning skills. Maybe we are not very uh, we are I mean we do not pay attention maybe of all the technologies they have in their CV. Maybe that's we only check, let's say, 4 or 5 things in the CV, and then during the interview process we challenge them to do things with different technologies. Maybe we always ask like a test, very small, that it does not require a lot of time to do that, but it involves using a bit of coding, a bit of cloud, maybe 2 programming languages, maybe a couple of tools in the DevOps space, and we ask them to integrate all of that um, and do like a demo, a live demo to us, so they can show us how they solve that problem. And we evaluated the potential to that process. And maybe if we have uh, a candidate that says, okay, yeah, I have a lot of experience with technology A. Okay, let's do a challenge with technology A, but also let's add technology B and C. Maybe I don't care if you're going to copy and paste some code from here and there. I want to see you to build the puzzle that we are requesting to you. And if you are able to do that, even if you are a completely junior with that technology, but you get that up and running and the code is well organized, that's a very good signal to us during the interview process.
It almost sounds like you're looking for more than the knowledge that someone has. You're looking for their ability to think clearly and figure out problems, which
Yeah.
means that you may not be particularly privy to or experienced with a certain technology, but I find that smart people, and we'll come back to the word smart, but smart people tend to just be able to pick up technologies and solve problems faster. And I think that concept of smart is almost like an internal logic system. It's like, how do I go about solving a problem? Like, first step is the person who gave me the problem, take all the information I can. A lot of people, I think, make a mistake right off the bat where they go back to the manager and say, okay, what about this detail? What about this detail? There's a lot of just unnecessary communication, and that's frustrating because it wastes time. If there's something available publicly that you can Google, figure that out. Do everything you can, and then it's like organizing things well. I'm sure you've seen this, but just having a structure of laying things out clearly, it makes more sense to do it some ways. When you see people doing it different ways, you're like, it's kind of, yeah, it's I know what you mean. It's not it's where you can see the progress of different people's development and in their career. On DevOps though, I want to ask you, so what are the tools? Like, let's talk about specific examples that, for say you're trying to explain DevOps to someone who is unfamiliar with software development, and they don't know, they know what a front end, they think of front end developers as they build the website, UI, HTML, CSS, maybe Bootstrap and stuff. Back end, they're using the logic, they're programming the logic, they're interacting with the database. QA are people who test it. Designers are people who make it look nice. I think DevOps is kind of people don't know exactly what it does. It's kind of like a little dark horse almost. What are the
Yeah.
popular tools and what are people doing in DevOps these days?
Well, the popular tools, there are a lot of tools on the space. For example,
And
something like,
technologies too.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But the most common technology we use, maybe I think they are the most popular in the market. It's Amazon for sure. And right now is Kubernetes. It's probably one of the most popular things. Uh, Terraform. Uh, then you have a Prometheus for monitoring, Grafana to visualize information from the monitoring systems. You have the CI/CD tools with like Jenkins. Now they are more popular, the hosted CI/CD tools like GitHub Actions, Travis CI. Uh, CI/CD is basically for the non people that is not very technical. Is the platform, the systems that where you build, test, and ship your software, which is basically I'd say that that's the core of DevOps. It's about building, testing, and shipping software in a timely and safely manner, let's say. And all the things like Amazon, Kubernetes, Terraform are tools that are supporting that concept. But I'd say that mostly the DevOps is about delivery and keeping the things up and running.
And so this would be in the event that, say, the site was attacked by hackers. This is where you're not going to call your backend developer; you're going to call your DevOps, right? Uh, it's the people who are interacting with Cloudflare and distributing the apps in different parts of the world. So the
Yes.
site loads fast. When you think about this as like core parts of it, you have security, um, site maintenance,
Mm.
site distribution, like load time and
Yeah.
that sort of thing. What else? What else comes to mind as like core things that a DevOps person is responsible for?
Yeah. Yeah. In general, it's not the term DevOps engineer is a little tricky. In general, it depends on how you see this. It's more like infrastructure engineer or cloud infrastructure engineer, but a lot of people using the term the DevOps engineer. Um, and yeah, the responsibility is basically that is putting putting the things, the applications up and running and checking. I mean, it's not maybe the main responsibility security. Usually work with a security person that provides the road mapping, the guidelines, but usually the DevOps, the cloud engineer is the person implementing or securing the things based on the recommendation of a security expert. That's on the security part, and then it depends on the application. If you have an application that, for example, is uh, to say a concrete example, if you have an e-commerce application. Uh, Now, one of the problems with e-commerce is, for example, Thanksgiving, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, that kind of
Yeah,
days. That's a challenge for
yeah.
e-commerce because you have offers, you have all the people in the same day trying to go to your online store, and that if you do not manage that properly, things are going to crash. So one of the things that, for example, a cloud engineer or a DevOps engineer does is, okay, yeah, we have an e-commerce. We are going to have this problem. How we can prevent this? One of the things is, yeah, let's use Cloudflare to offload the traffic directly into your system. You offload that to Cloudflare. That Cloudflare is like the first line. The CDN is like the first point of contact of all your traffic. So if when you use Fastly, Cloudflare, or the Amazon CDN, CloudFront, you can absorb some of the traffic in the CDN. That's one of the parts of the problem you're solving. But after that, you have your application that should be up and running and should scale up and down based on the demand. Because, for example, you are not going to have 100 of instances running uh, all the year if you have just Black Friday one day.
Mm-hmm.
So you manage auto scaling. So when the traffic is normal, maybe you have 10 instances running, but in Black Friday, you expand that to 100, 500, whatever. And the responsibility of the DevOps is not only configure the infrastructure to be able to do that, to scale up and down based on the demand, but also work with the developers because you need
Mm.
to understand how the application works. And it's not that, I mean, the infrastructure and the DevOps and cloud person is not like it's not the people that's doing magic. It needs to,
Mm-hmm.
the application needs to support that elasticity. So you
Mm.
work a lot with developers when you do load testing and the application crashes. You work close to the developers. Okay, let's debug debug this issue. Let's understand what's going on. Let's maybe think again about the architecture of the application, right, to support this kind of a scenario. Because if you have and stable traffic all the year, that's one problem. But if you have peaks for some events, days, or whatever, you need to prepare not only the infrastructure, you need to prepare the application. So it's like
Mm.
it's a teamwork
Mm.
uh, to do that.
Yeah, that was a good explanation. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. Although I still would call it black magic. It's to me the most black magic role in all of the technology development area.
Yeah.
Like I even security. I conceptually I get it. Um, but how the infrastructure is managed and distributed and the layers there. Like there's a lot of designers, front end developers, even back end developers in early stage startups that really don't deal with that a lot. That's outside of their scope. How do you think about if you're talking to someone who's maybe say 24 years old, 25 years old, they've been a developer for a few years, they're out of college, and they're thinking about which area to double down on, which specialty. What do you think when you see people who are senior level DevOps guys or girls and they're loving it, they're great at what they do, they love it. What is the type of characteristic about that person or personality type? Like how would you guide someone to say yes, you should go into DevOps, or no, you shouldn't? You should focus on another area.
Mhm. Well, that's a very good question. I think it's related to what I described uh, early in our conversation. Uh, that's because we're integrators. We are working with maybe different things all the time, and we are evaluating multiple things all the time, and we need to combine different things all the time. So uh, maybe when you are in infrastructure side in general, uh, when you do this integration, you need to be prepared to learn and manage different things. Because maybe when you are, let's say, a Java developer, I wouldn't say that is the same all the time because it's not like that. But maybe you work with one framework, with one database type, with the Java language, and maybe the things doesn't change much. But we are in DevOps because you are touching a bit of QA, you're touching
Mm,
some development stuff, you're touching a bit of security stuff. So you need to learn, you need to understand a bit of Java, a bit of database, a bit of the QA frameworks, a bit of security, a bit of this and this and this. So you need to have that flexibility
mm,
to learn different stuff. So if you want uh, if you like if you love dynamic environments and dynamic work, I'd say that that's probably one of the signals that
mm.
DevOps could be DevOps infrastructure and cloud could be good for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got to be pretty technical too, relative to the other areas you can focus on.
Mm.
There's not a lot of consideration for. You're thinking much more about machines than you are people. It's like deep in the stack, right? Whereas, designer is thinking about product design, even front end is thinking about like, how are people going to use this? How does it
Yeah.
interact? Is this clear to people? Is that clear? Where should the button go? But you're thinking about like, okay, the machine has to work. Like it's got to load. It's got to be fast. It can't be hacked. it's very much that's why I think of it as kind of like black magic, because most people just have, I mean, even when you say the word Kubernetes and Cloudflare, most people don't know what that, where that even fits into their frame of reference. So I love it. And
Technology in general, IT is like black magic for a lot of people, but especially for people like me, or people that's working in infrastructure in general, because we are working in the background usually. It's really hard to explain for us what we do. It's a challenge. I have a funny story with my grandmother that I mean, it's really hard to explain to my grandmother what they do. So almost impossible. And I've been working in IT for like 21 years. And 2-3 years ago, I bought a truck with a friend to do an on-the-side investment. And when I told my grandmother that I bought a truck to do something, she told me, "Oh, finally you got a real job."
You bought a truck to do some work, and she understood.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, but it was my job is not real for my grandmother.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
you just
But
sit
a
around.
truck,
Yeah, you're just sitting around in a chair. That's the classic way to look at it. Like, if you're not physically doing something, then you're not working. But yeah, we both know that that's not true. Yeah. Well,
It's like
Diego, go ahead.
Oh people is paying to me to do this. I tell to my grandma. I bought my house. I go in vacation. I have money to do things. So people is paying
Yeah,
to me to do this. So it is real.
Yeah, that's very true. Nowadays, there's so many professions and jobs that you can't even conceptualize, like, even 20 years ago. Well, congrats on all the progress, Diego. I really enjoyed getting to know you a little bit more here, and wish you guys all the best with everything at, do you pronounce it Flugel.it?
Yeah.
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 Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I hope we continue to work together, and we met through startups.com, so we should give them a little plug. They're a great organization that helps startup founders connect with each other and get resources to hire people and raise capital and connect with other founders and all sorts of stuff. So check them out too.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, my man. Well, have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for the invite, and great week for you too.
Bye, Diego.
Bye.